We're on day 16 of Travel Agency New Year podcast. My name is Rachel Kay, and I am a travel agency owner doing this podcast to help travel advisors build their business and become the CEO of their business. So, this is kind of a serial podcast if you're newbie. You just randomly found this one episode. If there's anything I'm referencing, it will be like from past episodes, I will let you know. But this week is going to be a lot of episodes on creating your marketing strategy for your travel business. And we have a program called the Success Circle that's $35 a month that goes a little more in depth. And this podcast is kind of a companion for it. You can just listen to this podcast, but if you want more help and support, join the Success Circle. It is elevatewithrachelk.com/success-circle-page, I believe. Okay. The client's journey. I did an episode, probably, I can't remember if it was week 1 or 2, because we are on week 3 now of Travel Agency in a Year podcast. And it was about what is an ICA. And I told everyone I'm only going to refer to ICA as ICA. But in this episode, I'll say very quickly, ICA is Ideal Client Avatar. And you can have more than one ideal client avatar if you have more than one niche that you serve. When you are coming up with your marketing strategy for your travel agency for the next 12 months, you should focus on the products and services that you believe in your business drives the most revenue and will give you the most growth in your business, and focus on that ideal client avatar. With travel, there's so many things I could talk about, but if you are doing multiple niches, I'm not sure. I mean, I know some agencies have great success having different niches and they can promote it to their existing clients. For example, maybe you created a lot of business doing destination weddings. You could start promoting different types of group travel to your followers because a lot of them are going to be repeat clients anyway. If you're brand new, I wouldn't recommend being all over the place with your marketing and be like, oh, this week's spotlight is Belize and next week is Portugal. They're very, very different places. And then the week after that is going to be a cruise line, like an ocean liner cruise line. And the week after that, it's going to confuse your clients. The week after that, we're going to do adult only all inclusives. And then we're going to talk about family vacations in Destin, Florida the week after that. That will create a lot of confusion with your audience who are not your clients yet. If you are struggling on deciding a niche that works for you, we have like a $47 5-day course called The Sweet Spot to Success. And it just helps you figure out niche options for you to focus on in your travel business. I don't like to recommend starting out. You do you. I don't care. This is your business. This is all your science experiment. You be your own mad scientist. My mad scientist experience says don't have like a ton of different niches. It works better when you are more specific in what you offer and therefore more specific in who you offer it to and who you market your services to. All right. So, with that being said, that's a quick rundown of an ICA. And if you are a student, you can always come for any courses for Elevate with Rachel K. Outside of like the Business Plan 101. You're always welcome to come to our live Q&As, and I'm happy to talk more in depth about that. So today's episode is tied to that because you do need to have a good marketing strategy. Marketing strategy isn't downloading a content calendar and copy and pasting it and being like, okay, this will bring business in. That is different. That is more of like a content strategy. A marketing strategy is being very clear on who you're marketing to, what you are offering to that audience, and where are they in the journey from learning about who you are or learning about the destination or niche that you specialize in order to serve them best. Okay. So there's going to be 2 episodes on this. This episode is going to be more of like generating awareness with marketing strategy to bring leads in, but there is also the client journey that you provide, your services offered. And I said a few episodes back, you've got to have consistency with your marketing strategy, the content you put out there, and how those people work with you has got to be consistent. I mean, you don't have to be consistent, but you're not going to get repeat business, less likely to, and less likely to get referrals. Okay. So, whew, the client journey, you want to base it off of your ICA and the niche that you would like to focus primarily on promoting for this year. I don't like to have more than like 3 different types of travel services, like niches and destination weddings. I do that. That's my niche. Like, I've niched down destination weddings to 2 destinations anymore. And I work primarily with about 5 different resort brands. And they are like my trusted go tos. I do work with other brands, don't get me wrong, but those are like my 5 preferred brands. So, do you have something like that in place? If you're going to focus on, let's say, Jamaica, honeymoons, Jamaica is a great place for honeymoons. Then your strategy needs to be based on market research aligned with your ideal client avatar, ICA, and where they are in the journey. So, if you've ever taken any freaking destination wedding or romance travel stuff, they're all going to tell you everyone gets engaged around the holidays. That's not totally true. That's the most common time people get engaged. There is another time of year, and it's like late summer, where people get engaged. That's the second most popular time of year outside of the holidays. So you need to factor this in, is what I'm saying. If you're doing honeymoon Jamaica as your niche, and I'm going to use this as an example. And if I have time, I'll touch on like family vacations, where they are in the journey. Okay. So you want to write down like all the months of the year, and then you put the awareness like, oh gosh, we got to plan a honeymoon around the time that your ideal client avatar is most likely going to be engaged, because that's when you need to start having a specific marketing strategy, and your content will look a little bit different that time of year than it would be if your client's journey for planning a honeymoon is like, how do I add the honeymoon package to the resort? We've already booked our stay. And yes, you should have content like that to help educate people that aren't even working with you. That's I'm a firm believer in 40% or more content being educational, because that's how they can, especially if you're doing like online marketing, social media marketing, because that's how they can grow to know you, like you, and trust you. They're going to trust you more if you're like, here's all my expertise. Okay. So you want to map out when the first idea in your ICA's head is that we need to take this type of trip. Okay. Now, if you specialize in anniversaries versus honeymoons, we all know a lot of weddings take place in spring and early summer. That's a very common time of year for weddings. But there's also the second growing most common time of year, which is like October, November. So your client could be in a different stage. Like, you just need to see where your ICA lines up with the general population? Are they the type of person that's going to do what everyone else is doing, or are they the type of person that likes to do things a little bit differently with regards to their wedding or honeymoon? I mean, yeah, with regards to their wedding, sorry. And once you have that all mapped out, you're going to see this is when the idea of, oh, we got to start planning our honeymoon pops up, roughly this month of the year. And then they're going to spend this month kind of researching. And then they're going to spend the next month like feeling the overwhelm. And then they're going to spend the next month researching travel advisors that are honeymoon specialists for Jamaica, because remember, this is Jamaica honeymoons that we're doing here. And then if they haven't chosen someone to work with, they're probably like, okay, maybe I should change up my honeymoon. Maybe instead of going to Jamaica, I should do a cruise. Because they're like, I don't know if I can afford this budget. I'm overwhelmed with all the choices. And then they start looking at another type of travel, and then they get overwhelmed again. So there's going to be like different stages that your client's going to be in when planning this trip. Let's do another example. Let's say you do family travel and you do family travel to, maybe you do family heritage travel to Ireland. Okay. So you're going to have an understanding of the high season, and your ICA is not, your ideal client does not understand most likely what high season is. Okay. So you'll know the high season in Ireland. If I remember correctly, it's like everywhere else in Europe, summertime, and you're doing family travel. And then I think they get hurricane season. Excuse me. I think it's like September, October. I don't know. I haven't done Ireland in years, and I don't know why I chose this as the example. But let's say how their high season is summer. That's when premium prices are. That's when things book out. And um, you also need to consider, are there any special events going on in Ireland for this next year? Like that could cause an uptick in tourism over the summer on top of being high season. Therefore, there's going to be premium pricing and they need more time to book. Like you got to factor all these things in. So with family travel, almost always they're either going to be around the holidays when they get their Christmas bonus, or conversely, possibly when they get like a tax refund or they get their taxes filed. So like about mid-November to about maybe mid-March, that range is going to be roughly when they're going to be like, oh, we have this extra cash. Let's plan a trip to Ireland because we're Irish and we want to go see where our roots are from. And we want to take our kids, and this is part of your niche. So you could say November, you can start planting the seed of like, hey, have you considered taking your family to Ireland to learn more about your roots? Like just have content like that in November. And December, then you could shift it into like, hey, this would be a really good Christmas gift idea. And then January, you could talk about what the weather is like during high or shoulder season. If your ideal client avatar is like, I can't afford high season, then you could talk about shoulder season and give them tips like, you don't have to go in July. You can go in May. When do your kids get out of school? When does their school year end? And kind of take them through that journey to make them aware of how to understand how this trip works. So as you're taking them through this journey, you could do it over weeks, but you also want to have like an overall annual plan, because we'll talk about monthly content strategy in future episodes. This is just like, what am I going to do for this next year for my marketing kind of thing? And where is my ideal client at in terms of I need to book a call with a travel agent? That's what you're trying to do with the overall marketing strategy is finding you and creating that need of just booking a call with you. And this is especially helpful if you don't have access to a network that has just a lot of disposable income already. And if you, like for me, I had to go through this whole process because I lived in an extremely rural area when I started my travel agency. Like the entire county, I think, had 30,000 people, maybe. The city, quote unquote, the village I lived in, I think, had 1,200 people. They were afraid of even getting a passport. Their idea of a luxurious vacation was like Gulf Shores, like, or going to one of the lakes in our home state. So I knew I had to market to someone and I knew I had to do it online with social media. So I knew I had to market to complete strangers. This is where I'm getting at with this entire episode. It's a little bit different if you're just like got a book club and everyone in there makes multiple six figures and you're just like, hey, do you want to go on a trip with me? Like that's really, really easy to promote versus not having access to the top 1%, for example, income earners and not knowing how you can get them to come to you and book a consultation. So you've got to create a very thorough client journey of how they find you online. Okay, back to the high season family travel. They're going to have a different client journey map than an engaged couple or couple looking for an anniversary trip. When I was doing my social media marketing, I would tell them, I would give them the tips and tricks for destination weddings in particular, and I'd give them like realistic understandings of how the wedding would work. And I didn't care if they worked with me. I was just like, hey, here's a bunch of tips. Hope it helps you. And that really drew them in for consultations. It's still like my old accounts that I haven't deleted, I'm still getting consultations from them. And I think I've posted once in the last 12 to 15 months because the information is helpful for them and it's kind of goes in cycles with their client journey. So you have to have an understanding of your ICA and when do they start considering booking the type of travel that you offer. And then you need to discuss like, obviously their pain points and things. But at what point in the year are they going to start considering I need to work with a travel advisor? Because when they get to that point, that's when they're going to be booking consultations with you. Okay? I hope this helped. Tomorrow's episode is going to be all about the client journey of working with you. And this all needs to be tied together with your messaging that you put out if you're doing online social media marketing and how you serve your clients. All right, have a good day.